Welcome to Contemporary Retirement. Contemporary Retirement is a public interest program focused on the retirement community. Every program has segments on legal, financial, and health issues affecting the retirement community. Contemporary Retirement is sponsored in part by a major grant from the Family Heritage Trust Company.
Contemporary Retirement is sponsored by Family Heritage Trust Company. The Family Heritage Trust Company is an independent bank chartered trust company established by local professionals to provide fiduciary services, including fee-based investment advice, trust services, retirement planning, and tax planning. The Family Heritage Trust Company is committed to client service in our communities. For more information, call the Family Heritage Trust Company at 301-631-5900.
Contemporary Retirement is sponsored in part by a grant from R. Thomas Murphy & Associates, P.C. R. Thomas Murphy & Associates is one of Franklin County's leading law firms, emphasizing estate, trust, elder law, and medical assistance planning.
Welcome to the Is It Legal feature on Contemporary Retirement. Is It Legal focuses on the legal issues affecting the retirement community. With me today is Tom Murphy from the R. Thomas Murphy Law Firm with offices Waynesboro, Chambersburg, and McConnellsburg. Welcome to the show, Tom.
Good morning, Mike.
You know, when we work with clients, people are oftentimes quite shocked to find out that our first goal is to make sure the care plan is under control, not messing with finances, and in some instances, even more important than legal documents. So, as we're working with families to manage the care plan, what are some of the thoughts that you share with families?
Well, certainly we always start out with, let's get the documents in order. And then that sets a stage for the next level of care. In-home care, options as far as personal care through the whole spectrum, and then nursing home rules and how they affect that particular couple.
And so when we're trying to make sure the care plan is under control, first of all, many times the person taking care of themselves is not an ideal care plan, although many times they will not acknowledge that.
Exactly, and so we have to interject or make suggestions as to better ways to provide care to you personally in your home or other options.
And of course, as we look at this, particularly when we're dealing with a husband and wife, a couple, most of the time they do not have the same levels of care, which then means as you look at how to manage the care plan, perhaps for the one who has more physically restricted or mentally restricted, you also have to take into account what is an appropriate environment for the healthier spouse to be in.
Well, that's an excellent point, because oftentimes the healthy spouse is the caretaker spouse. They're the one with all the pressure, and so we are trying to introduce ideas that will take that pressure off and provide the best living arrangements for both of them.
And oftentimes in that situation, we're looking at continuing care retirement communities because it would allow a less restrictive environment for the healthier spouse, yet full support for the spouse that is in need of greater services, as opposed to both of them being in assisted living, for instance, where one spouse really doesn't need any services at all. It's prohibitively expensive, it makes no sense.
Right, and so we just have to explore the right setting for both of them. And in our community, Pennsylvania and Maryland, we have some excellent facilities that can provide those unique situations.
And oftentimes we'll see facilities where that healthy spouse will end up being the substitute caregiver, which is many times not healthy for them. And so as we're looking at the needs of the person, you want to make certain if the person is, it's just physically limited, then you can have some people come in and assist on that. But if on the other hand, the person is mobile and has significant dementia, it can be exhausting on the healthy spouse to try to be in the same apartment with them, really not solving the problem that they had in the house.
Not at all, because you're basically going to create a problem for that healthy spouse where they're going to end up sick. And so we're looking for alternatives to take that pressure off and deal specifically with the ill spouse's needs.
And because there's not a lot of support for the selection of facilities, and our law firms have been doing it a real long time, we end up talking to families about this. I tell people that every single facility is compromised. And the question is does the compromise of that facility so adversely affect your family that it's not an appropriate choice for you? There's no perfect facilities in our market area, and they all have strengths and weaknesses, and you have to evaluate them relative to those strengths and weaknesses.
Right, it's like any shopping spree, any shopping trip. You want to look and feel in any particular facility, make sure it's right for you. And as you said, they're not all the same. They're not all the best or all the worst. You just have to find one you like.
And sometimes we have to have some tough conversations with people. We've had this conversation in recent weeks, I'm sure you have too, where I have an 84-year-old caregiver for an 89-year-old person. I don't care what anybody says, that's a defective plan, because all it takes is for the 84-year-old caregiver spouse to have a health issue, which could be not, a major event in terms of, mortality risk, but it could be a mobility challenged event, knee replacement, hip replacement, that sort of thing. And now all of a sudden, we have no support for that 89-year-old spouse that needed a lot of support.
Right, so we spent a lot of time identifying in-home supports and respite care opportunities and all types of things that we can immediately put in place in a crisis, despite who and when and what.
And oftentimes there's an old saying, particularly when you're dealing with dementia, that 2/3 of the caregivers die before the person you're taking care of. And so when you're dealing with a circumstance that you have an older caregiver, we're at high risk, or we have no caregiver.
Yeah, absolutely. It can happen instantaneously. And so that not only means what's the next level of care, but what documents and what kind of financial plan do you put in place to address that?
And oftentimes we characterize as a lot of times in life it's not what you want to do, it's what you have to do. And when you're putting that person at risk, you have to devise a plan that's going to assure the safety, particularly the compromised person.
Absolutely. There's no opportunity for them to do it in most cases, so we need to make sure there's a support plan in place right away.
Tom, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on the program.
You're welcome.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
Few things in life are as important as family. Leave your insurance worries to us, Wright Gardner. Call or visit our website to learn how we can make insurance simple and more affordable.
Every life that meets its end leaves a heart for love to mend. Sister, brother, family, friends are left to carry on. When the loss seems more than you can bear, it's nice to know that we'll be there at Douglas A. Fiery Funeral Home. We care.
Call Ed Lowe to help put your mind at ease.
Welcome to the special guest feature on Contemporary Retirement. This segment focuses on various issues which are of importance to the retirement community. With me today is Laura Schnackenberg, Manager Bookmobile Services, Washington County Free Library. Welcome to the show, Laura.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Free Library, what does that mean?
It means that we're free, no cost.
And I know that you have a lot of services besides books, so why don't you tell us a little bit about the services beyond just books?
Well, it's print books, it's audio books, it's movies, music. We also have a lot of programming at the different branches, whether it's children's programming, adult programming, family movie night.
Concerts.
There are concerts, yes. And the databases, the computers. So.
You also have a lot of computer equipment available to the public, so if they want to come down, they don't have to have their own computer in order to access some of those databases.
That is correct, yes.
Go ahead.
They can either use their library card or they can get a guest pass, so either way.
All right, and I know that part of what's also happened is that you're a subscriber to some services that if a person wanted to access it through their personal computer, they'd have to pay for it, but they can come down to the free library and use those services for free.
Right, yeah. It would be the different databases, whether it's the dictionary online or learning a language, all different kinds of things like that.
And of course you have research librarians there whose job it is to help people interface through that system. They don't have to worry that they don't fully understand how to do it.
Right, yes. The really smart people are reference librarians, yes. They're very helpful and friendly, and they'll help you out, yes.
I know we have a lot of historical interest in this community, including both Civil War, but also genealogy as well.
Yes, and the Western Maryland room, that's where you can find the history of the area. The librarians there will also help you with genealogy if you're doing a research paper or you're just interested in finding out some history. Yeah.
And so how many locations do you have within the county?
It's 8 locations.
Now, those 8 locations are really great for people who are mobile and willing to get in their car and drive somewhere to perhaps get some of the services that you offer, but you actually will help people get to services even if they can't get there. Tell us a little about it.
Well, that would be the Bookmobile and Outreach Services, and I'm the manager of the Bookmobile department. We have a schedule of once-a-month stops, and we come right to the neighborhoods, to different community centers, daycares, senior centers, and we also do homebound outreach for people who can't make it onto the Bookmobile. We set up a service where we try and get them books at least once a month.
All right, we're going to have Director Greg pull up some pictures here. So first of all, you have a big Bookmobile. That's sort of classically what we expect to see there. But I assume that it has services beyond the books. There's the potential for video, audio, and other services at the Bookmobile as well?
Yeah, we have the books on CD. We also have movies. And we can get you anything that's in the library. You just have to let us know ahead of time so that we can call for it and bring it out on the bus.
And this is an important homebound service. Tell me about this.
We have a
Lift.
wheelchair lift, and we can put one wheelchair on at a time. The one bookshelf actually opens up, and then we can bring the door down and bring them up, and they come in and we help them reach books and pick out what they like.
And as you said, everything that you have at the library can be obtained through the Bookmobile as well?
Yes.
So do you communicate with the person operating the Bookmobile or on the interline, or call them on the phone to tell them what you might be interested in?
Right. You would call the Bookmobile service and let us know where you're going to be and what you want, and we can get it for you.
Now, I know we just had a picture up of an older lady. Tell us a little of the story there.
Oh, she's at one of the assisted living facilities, and she lets us know what books she wants, and we get them for her. And then she likes to come on the bus, though. She likes to come up on the lift and look around at what other things.
And get some of that library experience.
Right.
Part of the fun of the library experience, and I did it as a kid, was just to go in there and start browsing, and you'd be amazed how many things you might find that you weren't even thinking that you might be interested in.
The old saying, a kid in the candy shop.
All right, and so we want to emphasize here in terms of the state of Maryland system, if you are a member of any of the libraries, you can access any of the libraries across the state.
That is correct. You just basically, if you're say in Baltimore County and want to use services in Washington County, you need to let Washington County know, and then they can update your card to include Washington County.
And some of the services that are available on the internet, the no-charge ones, you can actually use your library card from your house.
Right. Yes, you just go onto the library website.
Laura, I want to thank you for taking time to appear on our program.
No problem.
Great topic.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
Tranquillity at Fredericktown Assisted Living and Memory Care provides a warm, home-like atmosphere that promotes daily life enrichment. At Tranquillity, our medical director is a geriatric physician. Our professionals support and understand the various stages associated with Alzheimer's and dementia. We have on-site physical, occupational, and speech therapists, as well as around-the-clock licensed nurses. For more information, give Tranquillity at Fredericktown a call today, because everyone deserves great care. Let us do the caregiving so you and your loved one can embrace life again.
Come on, Dad, let's go! We're gonna be late! Hurry!
Just one more bid on HurleyAuctions.com. If you haven't visited HurleyAuctions.com, you don't know what you're missing. Whether you're buying or selling, antique cars, tractors, boats, or real estate, you can do it all at HurleyAuctions.com.
Get to know Dr. Carrie Hesley at Diagnostic Imaging Services.
What I find most rewarding is caring for women through our Women's Imaging Center. We have a caring staff that will ease patients through an ultrasound, bone densitometry, breast biopsy, or mammogram. Our health team is sensitive to emotions involved in women's imaging and understands that every woman is at risk for breast cancer. Providing the community with a center that is so dedicated to breast health and the imaging needs of women is something special.
DIS Women's Imaging Center, providing women with progressive care.
Welcome to Contemporary Health Scene. Contemporary Health Scene focuses on the health issues affecting the retirement community. With me today is Bridget Keefe, Community Relations Director, Tranquillity of Fredericktown. Welcome to the show, Bridget.
Thank you for having me, Mike.
Bridget, lots of exciting things happening at Tranquillity.
Indeed, yes. We're expanding. That's the biggest, the expansion, new memory care. Mm-hmm.
One of the nice things about your new memory care facility, like in a lot of facilities built 10 years ago, they didn't really focus on dementia, and yet the recognition is that's one of the principal drivers for why people need to go to assisted living in a confined care environment. And so the new facility that you're building is totally dedicated to dementia.
It is, and totally dedicated really to the mid and advanced stages of dementia as well, while we're helping people still be independent.
And so you have 113 beds when you're fully licensed up for that, so you're still going to have 80% of your population in the general population, and you will still endeavor to keep them out of the dementia unit to the extent possible.
We will, because you know the research shows the longer you can keep people independent, the better their cognitive abilities are.
And so yet the facility that you have is going to look just like the rest of it, beautiful apartments. People will still have a lot of flexibility, a lot of independence, but within the fact that they do need to be in a lockdown facility.
Right, but I don't think they'll even realize it's locked, honestly.
All right, and so as you look at that, then it'll allow people to stay in place, you know, and also to the extent possible, because I do like the 80-30 model, 80-20 models, because it does allow people to stay in the general population as long as they're safe.
It does, and it also, as you said, it allows them someplace to go if their needs change.
All right, well, let's bring up a few pictures here, because I know the first thing that happens is when you say assisted living, people hear nursing home.
Right, and that looks like a hotel to me.
Right. Yeah, it's a hotel in a lot of senses, because part of hotels is a lobby bar sometimes, and you guys have cocktail hours.
We certainly do. We have them all the time. Yep.
All right, and it says does not mean loss of independence. It means being as independent as you can be within the context of your current needs.
That's right, and you can see there we have a bistro set up and a beautiful dining area, so it'll make people, I think, feel good to be there.
And that's the goal, and and then we bring them some special activities as well.
We do. This is our Shetland pony who comes to visit, and he was abused, so it helps him to be loved on by our residents.
So they enjoy having the pony, and pony enjoys
being
around.
Yes, it's mutually beneficial.
And it looks like we have some fun here. I hope that is not from your beauty shop.
No, that is not. That is after one of our famous cocktail hours, and that's Crazy Hair Day. Yep.
All right, but you do have a beauty shop.
We do have a beauty shop. We do, full service.
All right, and so people can get their needs taken care of while they're there.
Yes, indeed.
And then, of course, one of the things that used to be when you dealt with assisted living, that there was a very limited amount of medical services that could be delivered in that environment. Tell us a little bit about what's going on there.
Well, we have a medical director who's a geriatric physician. We also have registered nurses. We have physical, occupational, and speech therapy on site. A podiatrist does rounds, and we even have geriatric psychiatric services.
And then, of course, how about dietary management?
We do. Our food is certified and signed off on by a nutritionist and a dietitian.
So people who have specific dietary needs can be addressed while they're there.
Right.
And then who's administering the medications as a rule?
We have certified med techs who are supervised by the registered nurses.
You said something earlier, you know, the physical therapy, occupational therapy, which now can be covered under Part A of Medicare even though they're in your facility.
100% covered as long as the person's improving.
All right, and so whereas in the past that was not an option in
Right.
assisted living, but those are changes that we're now seeing.
They are, and in fact our therapists, even if they discharge someone, still, because they're on site, can keep an eye on them, and if they start to backslide, pick them up again.
Okay, and then of course you have some level 3, which involves some very sophisticated medical treatments that were not previously allowed in assisted living as well.
Right, certain kinds of feeding tubes, ostomy bags, that sort of catheters.
Okay, so basically we tell people every day this assumption that my loved one has to be in a nursing home should never be accepted without exploring the opportunity to see if they could perhaps be in assisted living.
Yeah, I would say that's the first step.
Bridget, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on our program.
Thanks, Mike.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
The Community Foundation, through its scholarship programs and through its strategic grants, has been a positive influence for change.
Last year, change in Frederick County was influenced thanks to nearly 1,800 caring donors. Everyone can help. Your influence is key.
Help us proactively focus on where we need to be investing our energy in the future.
Albright, Crumbacher, Mal & Eitel are a full-service firm that provides elder care services including managing incoming bills, bill payment, depositing checks, balancing bank statements, and preparing, planning, and filing personal tax returns. Put your mind at ease and call us today.
Welcome to the Making Sense feature on Contemporary Retirement. Making Sense focuses on the financial issues affecting the retirement community. With me today is Christian Wright, President of Wright, Gardner Insurance. Welcome to the show, Christian.
Thank you, Michael.
Now, Christian, I want to talk about a policy that we recommend almost for everyone. There are a few exceptions, but mostly for everyone. So you have a standard policy, an auto policy, and that policy, might say 250, 500. It might say 500, 500. And what do those numbers mean?
Yes, those are the amounts that the insurance company will pay when you have a loss, and it's when you damage someone else. So the first number is, and what you just mentioned was what we call split limit. So the first number is the most that they'll pay per person for bodily injury, right? The second limit is the most that they will pay in one accident for bodily injury.
And then a third number might be 100,000. What does that mean?
That's the most that they'll pay for you causing property damage to someone's vehicle or home or whatever you may hit.
And so when we look at that, and we look for most people, we say, first of all, in a rural area, you might only get sued for a number that has some rationality. But if you're going to Florida and you're driving through urban areas, almost every lawsuit is going to be for a stupid number.
Yeah, exactly. And we've talked about before the state minimum limits that some insurance agents will actually sell. I think it's very unprofessional because it doesn't, those limits are completely ridiculous. But the point here is that you're right. You don't know what you're going to be sued for and what damage you're going to cause someone, who you're going to hit, if you're going to hit a doctor or you're going to hit a school teacher. It doesn't really matter. Plus, you could hit a school bus and have multiple injuries. So you got to really look at it to say, what's the worst thing that could happen that I'm capable of doing?
Well, and the other thing is that we have access to a software package that uses a bunch of public information algorithms, and it predicts people's net worth, and it's very accurate on it predicting. So the old day of being able to hide in the weeds and have somebody not know what you might be worth is really not realistic today.
Right, and that's one of the, that's something we hear a lot from clients is, how much can I be sued for? The reality is right now, attorneys can find out a lot about you and a lot about your net worth. And the reality is lawsuits aren't commensurate to necessarily your net worth. The objective of the insurance should be to protect you and your family.
So you have that 100-300 policy we see all the time, which I will emphasize to our viewers is totally inadequate.
Absolutely.
And so you get sued for $500,000. Well, the insurance company sends you a letter saying we're defending you to 100 or to 300. Get your own lawyer from 300 to 500. How's the client feel about that?
Well, if they're going to hear ching ching cha-ching because the attorney's fees rack up very quickly. You have to go out and hire your own.
That's right.
And you have to pay out of pocket. So that's something we want to avoid, and there are ways to avoid that.
And then, of course, that 100,000, it might be okay as long as you're tangling with an automobile, but if you tangle with a semi-truck with a load in the back, you could have $1 million exposure.
Absolutely. Or you lose control of your vehicle and go through someone's home. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can damage that are worth a lot more than $100,000.
And so we recommend this umbrella policy. And what it does is it lays over the top, commonly $1 million, sometimes more, depending on certain circumstances. So if you have that underlying policy, it just adds $1 million on the liability, on the total accident, and on the property damage.
Exactly, exactly. And that's the benefit of the umbrella, is you have that peace of mind, right? Another benefit is the cost of the umbrella is a lot less expensive than increasing that first layer of insurance, because the umbrella doesn't even start until, or kick in until those underlying limits are exhausted.
So people don't realize it doesn't. So if you have a $500,000 policy, it doesn't pay $1 until it's already, the underlying policy's paid out $500. So it's really very cheap, because the reality is not likely to happen.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
One of the problems that we have with professionals watching this show, particularly with common carriers, they buy that umbrella policy, they don't realize there's a hole in coverage in it, and that it does not cover uninsured or underinsured motorists.
Yes, yes, that's a huge issue that may seem small in nature, but the reality is, you don't know who you're going to get into an accident with, and if they don't have insurance or they have those state minimums that we talked about before, you have no protection.
And you're making $100,000 a year. Now you can't work for 5 years. You have a $500,000 loss. It is not covered by the umbrella unless you have a specialty carrier or do your underlying policy correct.
Absolutely, and that is a benefit of working with an independent agent that has the resources to tailor that umbrella to meet the specific needs of the client and to drop down over the underinsured motorist.
Christian, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on the program.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you from Contemporary Retirement.
Remember a more carefree time? Leave your insurance worries to us, Wright Gardner. Call or visit our website to learn how we can make insurance simple and more affordable.
These days, it seems like everything's online, and filling out claim forms and receiving and paying bills online isn't always easiest. That's why we at Quality First Insurance encourage you to just give us a call. Let us help.
Hi there, I'm Paul Sweeney with Quality First Insurance, and it's still just this simple. Our offices are open every weekday where you'll be able to call and speak to real, live people.
No detail was missed. I'm so glad that I turned to Quality First Insurance.
I've recommended Quality First Insurance to my friends who've been just as satisfied.
If you're not happy with what you're paying for Medigap, or more importantly, not happy with your service, give us a try. We're locally owned, and we take the time to provide you with the best. We are Quality First Insurance, and our mission is to provide quality products to quality people. Pick up the phone and give us a call today at 800-745-1411.